Hi everyone. I usually am in, shall we start over? Hi everyone. I'm usually behind the camera doing these kinds of things, so being in front is quite different and a little intimidating. I really wish I had a teleprompter, I suppose, but I'm going to try and do this off the cuff in one take. We'll see what happens. Anyway, greetings to all of you. Welcome to this wonderful event that Ray and Kulsum have decided to sponsor. Is that the right word? Host in their home. It's great to be with you. I wish I could be there in person. I don't even know who's there. One of the first things that Ray taught us at Harvest Communications was the importance of knowing your audience. So I have done absolutely no research. I don't know who my audience really is, but I can assume it's some old friends and possibly some customers. Who knows? But thank you, each of you, for your investment in me and in each of us harvesters, really. We all kind of fertilized one another, and then we became seeds that God scattered across the land and planted, and we grew and were watered and produced some fruit. So that's where we are. Margaret and I ended up in Philadelphia, as I think most of you know. We moved here in 1988 after I had been with Harvest for 8 years. And when I first interviewed with Ray, I remember him telling me that I had raw talent. And so I didn't know quite what to think of that at first. I sort of was slightly offended, but I know what he meant by that, and it was raw. It needed to be worked on and refined, and it took many years before I was really ready for a jump to a bigger market with customers who had just as high expectations as they did in Wichita, really. So anyway, it's been a good experience for us to move here. We learned a lot about serving, I think, through our time at 10th Presbyterian Church, which was really a calling for us. We were introduced to 10th and Philadelphia through the ministry of Dr. James Boyce when he came to Harvest to do his videotaping series for the Bible Study Hour. He was the radio preacher on that for more than, I guess, 30 years. It's like a 50-year-old radio program. So through 10th, I was able to do some pretty major documentaries, and also along with my corporate work, I learned, I think, the art of the interview. That was probably my biggest takeaway, was just interviewing customers and getting their stories and trying to figure out how to make a little mini documentary out of it. And some of those projects gave me the experience to make bigger documentaries, and one of them ended up on ABC television in 2020 during the height of the pandemic lockdown, and it reached more than 2.5 million people. So you can see how the effect of Harvest Communications has been great across the land, and not just in my life, but all of us harvesters in one way or another, and not just professionally, but probably even more importantly at personal levels, because we were with some good people at Harvest. We had Ray and Marlon and our customers who were patient with us and taught us a lot. And so we're grateful, all of us. So thank you for that investment in us. I think it's paid off. One of the things I wanted to share here at the end of this little greeting video, and I'll try to maintain better eye contact, is some of the sayings that have stayed with me through my life. The first one was my grade school art teacher, Mrs. Gibbs, who went around the room as we were making our primitive attempts at art and said, "Make every brushstroke count." And so that has stayed with me, just the importance of making everything count. Every little thing we do adds up to the greater whole. And then when I was a student at the American Film Institute, in Los Angeles, my screenwriting professor, one of my teachers there, hammered into our heads, make me care, make me care. He always had in mind the audience and the things we have to do as a writer or as a director, producer to make people care, to engage them, bring them into the story and hold their attention. So that has stayed with me. And then when I came to Harvest, there were some sayings people shared. Marlon had on his office wall when we were on Main Street, consistency, thou art a jewel, which comes from William Shakespeare. And true not only in gemology, but in our character. So I was grateful for that. And then something his mother shared with him, if it doesn't matter, don't let it. And that has helped me really hold my tongue when I was upset or angry about something, and just the importance of taking your time and really thinking something through. How much of a thing do you want to make of this? And that's been good. And then oftentimes Ray's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Dorsett, would come into the office and just visit with us, and which was quite sweet. I enjoyed those times. And one saying from Mr. Dorsett, I don't know where he got it, but he said, a poor man can't afford cheap things. So that has helped me understand the value of spending wisely, buying things that have value. Even if you can't quite afford it yet, you know in the end it'll pay off. Ray had a couple of sayings too that were very meaningful. The one I remember the most is, do not doubt in the dark what God has shown you in the light. And that one has really stayed with me through times of trial when things look kind of dark. And there have been some dark times here in Philadelphia. We've experienced a lot of trials through, I've had a couple layoffs I've been through, difficult relationships with coworkers, just challenging personalities. All these things are a challenge, and sometimes you wonder if you made the right decision on something. But those kinds of sayings, I know that one came from a missionary in Southeast Asia, I think. But do not doubt in the dark what God has shown you in the light. So that is my brief but spectacular take on my time with Harvest Communications. And I hope you've been encouraged by it. Continue to have a good time greeting one another, catching up, and I hope we'll meet again soon. All blessings to each of you. Thank you.